Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name is Dr. Lesley Phillips and I am your host. Well, this evening's topic is this. Have you ever heard somebody say this statement? I'm spiritual but not religious. Have you heard them say that, Corey?
Yes, I have many times. As a matter of fact, I probably have said it myself on several occasions.
It's quite a common thing that people say these days, isn't it?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently a philosophy professor, he's a professor of philosophy, religion and ethics, has written a book about this because he doesn't like this phrase at all and finds it confusing and problematic. So he's written a book explaining why. And actually the book's a couple of years old, so it was written in 2013. But I found an interesting article about it, so that sort of prompted me. And the book's called Dispirited: How Contemporary Spirituality Makes Us Stupid, Selfish and Unhappy. So this is an excerpt from an interview that somebody did with this philosophy professor. And I must say, in reading it, I find myself disagreeing with everything that he says. So,
me too.
So I thought it might be something to fire us up, get some discussion going. So listen in, listeners, and phone in if you feel yourself getting enraged or you feel yourself agreeing with this professor. So he said that the term "I'm spiritual but not religious" is emerging as a qualifying cultural statement, saying that you're not religious suggests that you aren't entrenched in capital R religion, which is associated with sex scandals, wars, hatred and bigotry. So he's saying that there's religion these days is getting so much bad press that, you know, there's a group of people who don't want to be associated with it, but they still are not agnostic. So he says it's also, but claiming to be spiritual ensures that you aren't seen as a mechanistic egotist that is shallow and only interested in possessions. So according to Webster, who's the author of this book, contemporary spirituality has evolved into a buffet-style approach where everyone builds a different platter. Individuals pick and choose what elements of religion work for them. So, maybe you're into Christian activism but enjoy practicing Buddhist meditation. Maybe you do yoga during the week and go to church on Sundays. And he says maybe this new approach seems inclusive and progressive and is building bridges and isn't hostile to other faiths, but he believes it is missing the fundamental point of religion and spirituality, which he says is the quest for truth. And I have to say, I completely disagree with him. I'm 100% in favor of what he's calling this buffet-style approach to spirituality, because I believe every individual is completely unique. Every individual has their own unique concept of God. And I'm completely in favor in going around grazing at the buffet table of what's available to find what fits for you. So I find myself saying, so what? What's wrong with that? How about you, Corey?
Well, everybody has their own needs and requirements around everything. Some people can live in a one-bedroom apartment with no issues. Some people need a 10-room house to live in just because they need that room. And I think religion has a place in our society because there are certain people that need that specific hands-on guidance for their journey. whereas others are self-motivated. And I don't believe for 1 minute that choosing your own path is, or choosing your own options, one from column A, one from column B, is a poor way to go. I think it's a phenomenal way to go. As a matter of fact, if we could do that in schools with teaching, the kids would come out so much smarter. Teach them what they need to know, not what you think they should know.
Well, and also, I don't see how he can say that somebody who adopts that approach to their spirituality is not seeking the truth. I think everyone that is, whether they're following I was going to say everyone, whether they're following a religion or trying out different hats on to see what fits, is seeking the truth. Well, I think they can be seeking the truth, and I think that it's not true if you're taking that approach that you're not seeking the truth. I think most people on a spiritual path like that, they are seeking the truth.
Well, he's looking at religiosity as a truth seeking, whereas if you look at the religions,
indoctrination. I think.
When you look at the religions, and he says it further on that each religion itself says. I mean, if you look at the Mormon Church, they're the only church where people go, where you can have fulfillment after life. Catholicism, only through Jesus can you be saved, quote unquote, and so forth and so forth and so forth, right up to that religion that's called devil worship, where he doesn't talk about that. That's a religion that it is classed a religion. And I think he's off topic. He's off the mark. People join religions because they want the truth, because they haven't learned to look for the truth within themselves.
Exactly. And the people who are out there trying this buffet style approach that he says, that they're actually seeking. That they're not just listening to didactic preacher. They're actually out there looking for their own answers. So I think they are.
And so if you're in a religion, whose truth are you listening to? You're not listening to your own truth. You're listening to the truth that comes from the pulpit or from the leader of that organization. It's their truth. It's not, quote unquote, the truth. It's their truth.
Yeah. Anyway, he's assuming that people who are spiritual seekers are without the quest for truth, and therefore he says that it's a problem because their spirituality is not challenging them socially, culturally, or intellectually. It's not encouraging people to look at the world critically. And he says there are right and wrong answers to these questions, and we need to work them out, and we can't be relaxed about it. Intellectually, we need to have a certain level of battle in order to work out what we want to believe in and what we believe is true. And so I'm afraid I don't agree with any of that either.
So what happens? So what happens if I join an organization and I find the truth? So I go to a church and I say I join the XYZ church, and they teach me the truth, and I understand their truth, and I get that truth. So now I have the truth. Does that mean I'm lost now because I have the truth, as opposed to now I'm not looking for it anymore? Because he says you have to be searching for the truth in order to be on the proper path.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my perspective is that truth is subjective anyway. And so what's true for me may not be true for you. What's true for Joe Bloggs down the street might not be true for either of us either.
But what is what is truth? I mean, how does he define truth?
Well, he doesn't say in his article how he defines truth, but how I define it is that it's subjective and there's not one overarching truth for everyone. Because that's where religions fall down, is that they say that there is an overarching truth for everyone, and this is what we all should believe. And that's where all the wars that we see are coming from, right?
Exactly. And well, that's what he talks about. But the truth, I in my understanding of when you talk about religion and the truth, it's the same in the same paragraph. What you're talking about is the after-death experience. This church's truth says that you go to heaven if you haven't done this. This says you go to nirvana if you haven't done this, and this. That's their truth. And people are looking for that. See, people are looking in religion, what most people are looking for isn't today. It's once they pass, that they know that they've got an A+, and that they're going to go to the best place possible. And so that is, to me, is what the truth they're looking for. And I'm not so sure that going to any religion at any given time is going to get you anywhere different than where anybody else is going to go.
Right. So he said that there are right and wrong answers in that paragraph I just read out, which I actually, again, I don't know that there are right or wrong answers. There's just subjective information that's appropriate for this individual versus that individual. And anyway, so it goes on to say that when the quest for truth is eliminated, the spiritual journey becomes one of personal betterment. Well, what's wrong with that, I say? And he said, instead, it moves towards being self-obsessed and towards self-development. And again, what's wrong with that, I say? What's wrong with self-development? Which is a direct contradiction of why people hang on to the spiritual label in the first place. Is it? Are you sure? And then, without these challenges, he believes that spirituality ends up being little more than a leisure pursuit and not a contemplation of truth, ethics, and mortality. So he has his own preconceived idea of what spirituality should be.
I think what happens is he's interposed those words. I think he's made an error and put spirituality where religion should be and put religion where spirituality should be.
Do you?
Yeah, because everything that he's saying that's positive about religion is actually a positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. And he says, because as a critique, it becomes about the self and bettering oneself instead of bettering and challenging the world around us. Well, I don't see those things as opposing opposites, and I don't see them as mutually exclusive. I think they're the same thing. Bettering yourself betters the world.
I've been through many religions in my life, and basically, they're all great in essence for those people who need them at that time. When you choose a different path other than a base religion, you're choosing freedom of thought as opposed to dogma.
Right, exactly. Whereas this guy says that there's a danger that contemporary spirituality is about an inward turn to the self. That's dangerous in his opinion.
Which is where God lies, within ourselves.
Yeah, it's quite bizarre that, quite bizarre indeed. And he sort of also says, well, because perhaps the answers are outside of you. Perhaps your answers lie in other people, in relationships, and in communities. And once again, no, I would say completely the opposite is true. All of your answers lie within you. That's the only place that they are. Nobody else knows your answers more than you do.
Well, no, I'll agree with him a little bit on that part. Sometimes you need some mentoring and help to get from point A to point B, but I don't think
mentoring's not the same as having someone answer your questions for you. A mentor is someone who guides you to find your own answers.
A dogmatic path is very different than a free spiritual path where enlightenment. I never touched on enlightenment until I left all these religions behind, and never realized what the truth about my truth about God was until I left all these religions. I was always listening to other people's truths in religion when I was in a religious organization.
Well, unfortunately, that's what organized religion is. It's somebody else's consensus on what the truth is. It's an indoctrination, right? Yeah. Mostly.
Yeah, and again, I don't think everybody who chooses a self-inflicted spiritual path
A self-inflicted
spiritual, self-inflicted, putting it upon yourself. I use that term specifically because I thought it would be interesting. No, as a self-governing path, if you want to call it. I don't think everyone who does that actually works at that spiritual path. And as I pointed out earlier, in certain religions, most people go to church once a week, and when they leave, they don't work at that specific dogma either. So what in core essence is the difference?
Are you asking?
No, it's a rhetorical question.
Right. Well, listeners, we're actually going to go to a break now, but I hope that's fired you up to some degree.
Fired me up.
Fired him up. Fired Corey up, that's for sure. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. I'm Dr. Lesley Phillips, and we are now in that part of the show where we take your calls. Now that hopefully everyone's all fired up, we continued to debate about Professor Webster while those ads were on. All right, so Corey, in the absence of a phone call, do we have an email question from somebody?
Yes, we do. We always do. People love their emails. El dirección a correo de electronic. That's Spanish for email.
Sounds a bit like French, where they choose their own extra long words for new inventions.
Except if that's Spanish. If you go to South America, it's email.
Right.
Way to go, Latin America. I've got an email question from Shauna, and Shauna wants to know: should I renew a friendship with my Kenny G after 9 years, or is there someone else out there for me?
Okay, we'll take a look at that question. So, and this is how it goes, folks, is I tune into the person who asked the question. I tune into their energy. It just takes me a quick moment to do that. So this lady is asking about renewing an old relationship, or whether there's the possibility of whether there's an alternative. And of course, there's always an alternative. So, is it possible for you to create a relationship other than this chap that you're asking about? Well, yeah, of course it is. So, and really the choice is yours. But let me take a look at the energy around you asking this question about this one particular person. So, it looks like you're not completely in present time. And what I mean by that is sometimes when we've known somebody in the past, we carry around that past time perception about them, about who they are, and maybe even don't completely let go of what was happening in that relationship in the past. And so I'm seeing that that's going on to some degree with you and this man that you're asking about. And it also looks to me as though, and you didn't give a huge amount of information, but it looks to me as though he is coming to you. That he's making the suggestion of this be renewed. And it looks like he's trying to persuade you in some way. And you're well, to be honest, this is what I see. I see that it looks to me like it's not an energetic match in present time. it looks to me like you'd kind of be going backwards, if that's a way to say it, back in time. And it looks like you've moved on since in 9 years. Your energy has shifted. You're a different person. You want different things. And yeah, and so to be honest, I think you know the answer to your own question, which is that it looks to me like you'd be more interested in creating a new relationship with somebody different, but you're stuck on, well, if this is the only chance, I better grab it. But of course, it's not the only chance, because you create your own reality and you create your own opportunities by believing in yourself and believing you can have what you want. And so, what I'll say to you is that you can have what you want. And looks to me like it's not this chap that you're asking about, but you're just afraid to let him go in case nothing else comes along. So think of it this way. It's not that whatever else could come along is preordained and fateful. It's actually down to you whether you attract that into your life by believing it, by wanting it enough, and by believing you can have it. So I hope that answers your question, and we will take another question.
And just a quick comment on that question. If you read the way she's phrased the question, should I renew a friendship with Kenny G after 9 years?
Friendship,
as opposed to
romance.
Yeah, and she means romance, but it's just,
I see what you're saying in the words itself.
Yeah, the words itself. Like, she wrote friendship. She didn't write romantic relationship or anything, or a relationship. Anyway, I've got a question from Cloud.
Okay.
And she'd like to know, I would like to know what type of path my life is going on.
Okie dokie. Let's take a look at that question then and see what we see. What life path? What path her life is going on? It's an interesting question. I wonder if she's asking about career direction, or that's an interest, like what path is my life going on? It's going on your life path. So, but give me a moment. I'll tune into your energy and see. Well, so it looks to me that, well, there's a few things. It looks to me like you're feeling somewhat disconnected. But the odd thing is you're not disconnected. You're sort of feeling disconnected from God, or whatever your concept of a higher source is, of a higher guiding source is. Yet, I'm seeing that you're completely connected. And so there's an assumption that if we're feeling lost and we don't know where we're going and we can't see our path, that there's something wrong. And where I would say that there's a natural process that we go through in natural cycles of growth and change. And sometimes when we're, completing one cycle and beginning another cycle, it can feel like that. It can feel like, I'm neither where I was or where I'm going. So I'm seeing that you're exactly where you're meant to be, and you are on your path, and you are in alignment with God. But that you are believing that it should feel different than it is feeling. And so, but here's the thing, it is feeling the way that it's feeling. and actually, in a way, you can never really be off your path. And so it's really about just accepting the moment as it is right now. Even if the moment right now is a feeling of loss and disorientation. So, yeah, I'm just saying you're expecting that it will feel like a joyful ride all the time, and not necessarily. So, and it looks to me like what's going on with you right now is that you're in the process of, like I said, it's like ending one cycle and really letting go of the past and moving into a different cycle. And it looks like a major shift. It's almost like just letting go of a high percentage of the beliefs that you were operating from. So that you could set yourself free from that, because they look to be a bit like a jail or a trap. Definitely some serious limiting beliefs that you've been operating from that aren't your beliefs. And so you've said, well, I'm going to let all of that go. And then in letting it go, there's this sort of time in the wilderness where you say, well, who am I? Who am I if I don't have those labels anymore? I don't know who I am. I feel lost. There must be something wrong. And there's nothing wrong. There's everything right. You're in the process of letting go of what limits you and setting yourself free. And so, and I think maybe in the question there was a little bit of a future time, where am I headed, implied.
Yeah, more or less.
And so, again, where do you want to head? What would be your ideal life plan? Because that whatever it is that you want is what you can create for yourself if you believe it. And so rather than me tell you, well, this is what's going to happen, just check in with yourself and say, okay, well, I'm feeling lost right now, but what would I like to create? And then in knowing what you're wanting to next, then that's you guiding yourself in that direction. Okay.
I had a little visual on this question, which is kind of cute. I don't usually get these visuals, but this one I have to share this one. So I'm visualizing a person on this path, and they say, well, there's another path. I want to get on that path. They get on that path. They go, hey, it's still me on this path. So there's another one. Look, I'll jump on that path.
Right.
Go, whoa, it's still me.
That's right. Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, wherever you may be, that's where you are.
That's right. Exactly. And often we're wishing, aren't we, to be somewhere else, or to be further along the path than we are, wanting to skip steps.
Wanting to be you're not wanting to be on a different path. You're wanting to be somebody else.
Right. Aha.
Anyway, I had to laugh. I just saw this jumping from path to path. It was kind of interesting. Anyway, another question for you, Dr. Lesley, if we have time.
We do, yeah, with one more, and then we'll go to a break.
And this is a question from GL. And GL wants to know, what is causing my physical symptoms?
Physical symptoms. All righty, let's take a look.
Life.
GL. Not allowing, not accepting. So it looks like there are some limits on your self-acceptance. Limits on your self-acceptance. So, or another way of saying that is a rejection of self. So it looks like you're not happy with yourself, you're judging yourself, and the self-judgment or the lack of self-acceptance is what's causing the symptoms. So that's a simple answer. I'll see if I can see anything else. I'm also seeing that there is a restriction on self-expression, which would make sense. If you're not accepting yourself, you're probably not expressing yourself authentically. And it looks like it's like not believing in yourself or believing what you have to say is relevant. So holding yourself back in that way. And, the other part of it is believing that there's some perfect you or perfect way that you are supposed to be. And when you don't measure up to that perfection, judging yourself and not accepting yourself. And so we might look at, well, where did that come from? What caused you to be so judgmental of yourself? And I'm also seeing, that there's a vicious circle as well, because there's the symptoms that you talk about, and then there's the judgment of the symptoms. Well, I'm not well, or I'm feeling this way, and I shouldn't be feeling this way, and I'm bad, and there's something wrong. And so that goes round and round and round. But I'm also seeing there's an originating point as well, which is it has something to do with originally with the voice and self-expression and being judged for how you expressed yourself or for what you said, and then feeling that, internalizing that self-judgment, basically. So it looks like you had some severe judgment or measuring up against external expectations as a kid, and as a teenager, it looks like, and that eventually, instead of that coming from someone else, you internalized it and started judging yourself. So the answer for you is it's about letting go of it. It's about loving yourself, accepting yourself, and just letting go of the judgment and the expectations. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name's Dr. Lesley Phillips, and we are at that part in Unlocking Your Truth where we're answering your questions. Do we have some more emails, Corey?
Yes, we do. This one's from Ellen, not to be mistaken with Helen. How can I use my gift of emotional intuition to help others without getting emotionally drained?
That's a great question. Very good question. So, before I look at you specifically, one of the first things I would say is, people who are being intuitive and doing intuitive readings, they often talk about protections and, well, how can I protect myself? And, so you have people putting up mirrors and, big, surrounding themselves in light and this kind of thing. And there's something to be said for that. The protections that I teach people, and I'm always talking about this one on the show, the first one is grounding. So, and that means that you create a flow of energy from near the base of your spine to the center of the earth, and you can release anything down that flow of energy. So you can release the foreign energy from the other people that you are wanting to help, so that it is not remaining in your space and affecting you. So that would be my tip. But I'm also going to tune into your energy and see if there's something specific that we can add to that relates to you specifically. Well, don't go into resistance to them. And the other thing is that we all are mirrors for each other. So whenever, for example, I'm giving a reading or a healing to someone, I'm aware that that person is reflecting back at me aspects of myself, that there are parts of them that I'm matching with. And so I use that process as a way of helping them. I'm simultaneously healing myself. And so there are techniques that you can learn, meditation techniques and energy management techniques that you can learn, that you can incorporate into your practice when you are using your emotional intuition to help other people. And so if you're interested in finding out more about that, you can certainly write to me again, and I can put you in the direction of some courses on my site or some mentoring or something like that that would be able to teach you that. But apart from that, if you listen to some of the back copies of this show, then we're always talking about grounding, and we're always talking you through how to ground. And that would be the first thing that you could learn how to do if you don't know how to do that already. So I hope that's been helpful. We actually have a caller on the line, and so I am going to get Corey to put that person through right now, and we'll be able to ask them what their question is. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Who am I talking to?
This is Maxine.
Hello, Maxine. How are you?
I'm actually doing good. I'm just having a quick check-in. I've heard some of the latest recorded shows, and you've done some pretty in-depth readings for some people. And I guess the main thing that I'm trying to adjust my focus on now is terms of a job and bringing in just money to spend to buy the things I need to fulfill the creative work that I like to do on my own.
Right.
And this has kind of been a struggle for a few years. I wonder if there's some sort of a block or something that you're seeing. I'm not worried about past. I'm more wondering if you can intuit things from past life or from different levels of my energy, that there might be some problems I'm not aware of.
Sure, I'll take a look. What is the creative work that you do?
Well, I do art and I write, and I also do music. I've been focusing more on writing and music, but and I sew for other people to make money, but sometimes I just feel resentful doing that, but then I need an income.
Right.
And, I used to do my own designs, and I maybe still could, which means putting it on the internet, and just, you get hung up, okay, I don't have room on my camera to even take pictures. You have to pay for a website. You need money to survive. And there's always this sort of discrepancy between me having creative freedom and being able to support myself and just live, and then take it to the next level and actually have fun being alive.
Right. Okay, so the work that you're doing for money and a job is in the same realm of what you love to do. The distinction is it's sort of like, well, you'd love to be just doing that and the income flowing for you, but you're having to do it for others in order to get income. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's like the designing work that I do, which I feel I'm good at, to find those positions, especially here. Now they demand new technology,
okay.
And it's just, I don't know if I want to put my energy into that. If I'm, if I want to put my greater energy into, because I'm at the second half of my life, and I feel I have things to say and express and explore. And if I don't do it now, it's not like I'm in my 20s or 30s where I could spend 10 years and then, go write my memoirs.
Right.
If I'm going to be putting things down on paper or publishing or recording or creating films and liaison with, I have bigger things to share with mankind than pretty dresses. So I guess I'm kind of always kind of stuck in this sort of middle ground where I'm not, I like designing clothing, but I never was what my deepest desire in life was. So I suppose that maybe I just block myself because I don't know what I should be doing, or I'm not doing what I should be doing.
Okay. Well, let me go into trance and just take a quick look. And if you could keep your eyes open while I look at you. Okay, and I'm just going quiet just because I'm taking a look at the energy, and I'm actually going to give you a little bit of a healing before I talk about what I'm seeing. Because it does, the first thing I see is that I do see, it's like this feeling of being stuck or trapped in a certain energetic configuration. So I'm just going to give you a hand to see if I can help you let go of some of the stuckness and then take a look at what's underneath. It's not very entertaining on the radio to be giving a healing and being quiet, is it?
Should I hum?
No, that's okay. It's just that I'm just seeing just some very dense energy and I see, it actually looks exactly like you described. It's like in this sort of in-between thing where it's sort of like being it's like being trapped. Like there's a ceiling above you can't bob above, and there's also something just trapping you in place. So but it's quite dense. So I just want to give you a hand loosening it up, and then I might be able to see more clearly about what that is. Because there's definitely some kind of stuck core belief. Well, let's see if we can do it. I mean, I might be able to pull up some past lives, but it looks, and that might be a way of getting at the information, but it just, let's see. Your energy's changing a little bit as I'm giving you a healing, which is good to see. So so what are the things that you would like to express? Do you know what you'd like to express? What you want to write about, what you want to...
Yeah, I have been writing, and it just comes out on its own, and it's different all the time.
Mm.
So, I think that at the deepest core, I'm like a purist when it comes to art, and I just like playing with sounds and music, and using that. That's an art form. I've done visual art before, and I gave up on words for a long time because I felt it was limiting and kind of dragged it down.
Mm.
And I feel like I put music on the shelf for many, many years, and I'm returned to it now, and I really like it. And since I've been working, I bought a little bit of recording equipment, and I feel like I feel different. I feel myself changing and becoming more unstuck and feeling more alive again. So I feel like I'm getting back to who and what I really want to do in life and what I like to do the most. I've always done this since I was very, very young. My first memory. But it's just this other thing that bothers me because, these days, making money in that business, I'm not so worried about making money as a musician. I'm just worried about making money as a human in this society to be able to have that ease, And I've done the kinds of manifesting where I've, captured the feeling of ease and this and that. But, for example, I've been many years without a car, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be able to get around, and when I can't get around, I can't see other people and socialize, so I end up very isolated, and I'm always I'm in between two coastlines. I'm in between two jobs, or I'm in between two career choices. It's always like this
sandwiched in between. There's this theme of being sandwiched in between two things.
I know,
and it's energetically, it's interesting. So, so one of the things I was going to say or ask is that because there also seems to be this thing about, and you tell me if this is right or not, but leading, focusing on what you love to do creatively versus what you think people will buy. Is there a concept around, pulling yourself back from flowing freely with your creative energy and a concern about whether it would be commercial, or are you?
You mean in terms of making clothing, or anything?
Okay, so maybe you need to just explain, so I heard you say that you were a designer and you make clothes, that you were a musician, you make music, you're a writer and you write, and you do art as well. So, and that in order to earn money, those are the skills that you've drawn on. So it's not as if, for example, by day you're a dental hygienist and by night you're doing the art. It's like you're kind of doing the art, but there's the art that you do for commercial purposes, and then there's the art that you do for that's the pure expression of you.
Right.
And it's all of those things: clothes, music, writing, painting.
I don't make so much money with music right now. I had an opportunity, but I wasn't quite prepared because I just started getting back into it. But I've always, for many years now, made money with sewing for other people, selling my own designs or making patterns. And now I've been in the workforce sort of, or thinking I should just have a job where I commute, and actually, going for an interview tomorrow, I have mixed emotions about, and it's, I'm not going to be having a creative position. It's just sewing the gowns that they design, which is like, I don't know, part of me just kind of feels dead thinking about doing that. And then there's another sewing job that's more local, be easier to get to, but it's the same thing over and over again, just different fabrics. And maybe that should be my grunt work to provide me with money so that I can breathe and buy what I need and have the time to work on music and writing, and be like I guess we all feel like, or as artists, that we have something to say and we want to put it out to the world. We want to express ourselves. So I feel that if I don't start expressing myself now, it's never going to happen. I'm going to go to my grave not having lived the life I should have lived and I want to live. And like in the sense of giving that, doing it, getting it down on paper, getting it into a recording, actually, finishing what I started so many years ago.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever applied for grant money, like artist grants?
No, that's something that's coming up more because I just moved back here from New York, and there is more money in Canadian arts, like for filmmaking and for getting, help to do things like that.
Yeah, so there are some grants for filmmaking and other expressive forms of art.
Yeah, they help you more here, and it's like that's exciting, and I'm seeing that. And I mean, should I not go to this interview tomorrow?
So here's the thing. I mean, I think you should look into the possibility of getting a grant, just because that would give you would give you some money to support you to have the freedom to do what you want. And then if I look at these two jobs, and I guess it's. Again, it's sort of like it's how you look at it. You could choose to believe that it was, grunt work and hate every minute of it, or you could say, I need to get from A to B. In order to get to B, I need some money, and this is a vehicle that can get me there. And so I'm grateful for the money that it's bringing in, and have it be a temporary thing, so that allows you to launch the other things that are more your authentic expression of yourself. I don't think I have a magic answer to this one, but all I can say is that usually what blocks people is their holding on to some self-limiting beliefs.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com. where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.